sound of the police in my hood.
Welcome, folks. I am somewhat sober from my last expedition into madness. So tonight on the Three Black Heathens show,
that's bullshit. He's not sober. Just to be honest with you, he's not sober.
He's right. I'm not gonna bullshit with you. But so what's gonna happen tonight, folks? We have some moments from 2018 that we want to share. I've kept mine pretty much relegated to stuff that happened on G Plus. Nate has his kind of just in the world in general. So you get a little mix of both. And then of course we got Mr. Bert here. Imp is gonna try and join us. You know, he's doing big things, but we understand. So the first part of this, folks, is gonna be us talking about the year past, the year that will soon be gone, and then we're going to get into the man, the mystery, Mr. Bert Poole. Some of y'all may know him, some of you don't, but if you don't, that's cool.
Your drag, you got a cough if you're all right, man, because it looks like you were doing a hostage video. Like, send this man $1 million to get him free right now.
I'm doing my semi ASMR. I'm trying to be quiet because my little brother actually has to get to sleep, but I'm also drunk as hell, so it works out.
All right. Well,
people can hear me.
I'm glad you're right. This is not drag is not being held hostage. He's okay. Send $1 million to Nate Brody though, and then we can work things out. But
yeah, you can send like $800 to me, and I can get a new computer. I mean, that works too.
Yo, so let's start this off right. So let's go with your number 10 piece on the list. So introduce us to your number 10. Now these are our top GDC these are our top moments for our channel. So Dragon's going to introduce you to his top 10. I'm going to introduce you to my top 10 moments and from the community. And then we're going to go to just a generic top 10. And this top 10 is just about all the moments of 2008. It is not limited to the GDC. So Drag, what's your moment number 10? What are we looking at?
So, well, I was lazy as hell, so I went in like reverse chronological order. So mine is the Land Whale Adventures, my series on Shanny for Christ, where I took some of the madness that is that woman, and I condensed it so that people could be in shock and awe and horror, and we just talk about it. And my God, was it more painful than anything I'd ever done before, because it literally made me feel like regret for the human race.
See, we can't scare Bert, because Bert, he come to Three Black Heathen, what we call it the non-racial heathen show tonight. But Bert, don't let him scare you up. This is black people stuff. This is scary stuff right now. He about to go psycho. You see the way he look on the screen right now. So let me play number 10 clip from a man Dragnot, Whale Adventures, and it is called Whale Adventures.
Land Whale Adventures.
Land Whale Adventures, which I like. I like the Land Whale Adventures too. It's like got the evolution piece to it. So here it is.
Yeah. That's why I put it there. Yeah, that's it. Bitches here.
if you have to preface it with "this is not a threat," it's usually a threat.
It's not. But the person I know, it might not be legal action. It might be something different.
God, don't say
I'm
that.
sorry.
Ooh, man. Now he's gonna call Pookie and them. That's crazy. Rev, man, I hate to break this to you, but you're not the only one who knows Pookie and them. Okay, there's lots of people who know Pookie and them, and they can be called and bribed to do all sorts of things. Now let's think about this for a second. Let's put this into perspective as to what Rev just said. Yes, this video has been deleted by Shanny, but the amazing thing about the internet, nothing stays deleted. And yes, I have this among. I actually have quite a few videos, old videos of her. So I would, yes, I would like to represent. No, Jello, no. You have to spell attorney right first, Jello. No.
So what was that about? So what is this adventure? What's this Land Wheel adventure series? Because she looks like a total mess in that video.
I mean, that's every video, but like, so Shani loves just like giving her perspective on life, and she loves like pretending that she is this non-caring, just kind of like laissez-faire sort of person, but she's not. Like she's a judgmental bitch. Like she's like worse than like your worst depiction of somebody's mother-in-law. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna give some commentary on her. And man, she did not like that shit at all. When you give her a taste of her own medicine, she did not like that, and it got pretty hot, heated too. And it was, man.
Oh my God.
As fuck.
Well, so let's go to your number 9 clip, because we got 9 more of these things to go. So number 9, you have the charity roast of JD Kane. So why'd you pick this?
So the charity roast of JD Kane was actually pretty funny. It was probably one of the most funny things that we all purposely orchestrated on G+, where it was a charity benefit for Christina Blackfeather, similar to the one that we're doing now for Faithful to God. And the idea came that you could kind of give different amounts of money to be a part of the roast, or to throw shit at JD, or just something like that. And man, there were some feelings hurt. Like people were legit mad because it wasn't just about JD. Certain other folks kind of got hit too, but it was for a good cause. So I thought it was funny and opportunistic.
Well, here it is, the roast clip from the roast of JD Kane.
I'd like to thank JD for willingly giving into peer pressure so he could subject him to a series of terrible jokes made about him. In the name of charity, of course. Now, which brings me to why we're all here. Our amazing friend and community member, Christina Blackfeather. I'm sure you guys have seen her G+ posts, and she's been around the live chat quite often. Everybody knows Christina. She's going through an incredibly difficult time due to a lot of expensive surgeries and also medical expenses that have been piling up. So, along with an ailing husband and limited resources, means that Christina needs a lot of help. So we're doing this roast in the hopes of helping Christina out. Which brings me to what I want to say. Christina, you've been an amazing person, amazing friend, and I appreciate everything that you've done. And I hope that this roast at least helps in some regard. Now, to bring home the
of white trash and class, that he needs a new category. Somehow he is able to make alcoholism look like a sport.
Damn, you guys went really in on the roast part.
Yeah, mine wasn't even that bad. Like I knew
that wasn't bad.
No, I was probably like the least offensive in there, believe it or not, because I knew some of the other jokes, because some of them told me what their jokes were, and I said, "There's no way. I'm not gonna do that." Like JD's wife got called a Yeti, just to kind of give you an idea. So I said, I'm gonna throw some softballs there. So yeah.
Well, it's all fun when it's for charity, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So what's your number 8 clip? Because we've been through Wales, and now we've been through charity roast. So what's number 8?
Number 8 is not too great. I met Aaron Raw in real life. So he and I had some beers, had some shrimp, some seafood, and some chips, and we just kind of talked, and it's just I recorded a bit of it. While we were at a place called Sam's Seafood House, and it was Sam's Boat, excuse me. And it's, yeah, yeah, that was pretty fun, pretty doggone fun.
Here it is. Drag meets Aaron Raw.
You LARPing? I hit the floor. Like I was like, oh man, that was too precious.
I shit you not. Every party I walked into.
Cat was. I love the look on the face of the cat. Was always the wide-eyed. Call the police.
People photoshopped it and they put a little hat on it too. How you doing?
All right, it's all right. Are you our waitress? Okay.
This does look like one of those hidden camera videos where you're like trying to buy something off the black market and you're trying to expose them on camera. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, let's hide the camera right here. So we get, you know, it reminds me of the video that they had for, what's that called? Planned Parenthood. Remember they had the doctors selling the baby's parts? And they're like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So how'd you get hooked up with that? What is it, just one day you guys just hooked up?
Well, no. So I've known Arn for quite a few years. Like I still have his information. Matt Dillahunty, DPR Jones. I've known them, you know, at least on the internet for about 6 years now. And you know, occasionally I'll send him a message. I'll send him and DPR just to kind of catch up. And very recently, I said, you know, let me know when you come back around the States and you're in Texas, and specifically Houston, my area. And so we need to meet up. And so he's like, oh, actually, you know, I am just out of the blue. He lets me know that he has a conference here in Houston, and you know, I can't really disclose, you know, where it was or what it was about, but you know, he said afterwards he would be free, and so he drove around here, and he you know, met up with me, and so yeah, that's honestly how it happened. Just Skype conversation.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, here's your next clip. What is this? Is so now we're at number 7. Shit, we're going real slow through these. So number 7 is your top moment, the start of the Three Black Heathens show. So let me,
Yes.
we get to promote our own show during this segment. So
Yes.
we're going to promote the show. All right, so this is Drag's number 7 moment of his top moments of 2018, and this is the premiere of the Three Black Heathens show.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, then we were evolved from monkeys. Why we still got monkeys? It's too much open here. I just believe that, and if you don't believe that, then I don't like talking to you.
I say,
Man, he pulled fucking a Kent Hovind, William Lane Craig. He pulled everything. He just said, "Fuck it."
Ray Comfort, the banana shit from Ray Comfort, all type of bullshit.
Why do we still have monkeys? That's what he said.
Well, we still got monkeys, man. Though, I don't know how many times I done had to explain this shit to people, and it's like there's nothing that I would ever tell anybody on Google that they can't find themselves on Google. Like that's my thing. It's like it ain't no big fucking secret. It is. Here's why.
So that was our first show. Us talking about Steve. Now Steve Harvey's a pretty big guy. Like he's got a lot of stuff going on. You know, even though he can't fucking read what's in the envelopes for Miss Universe, he's always saying the wrong name and shit. But you know,
He's illiterate, but he's successful. That's what's important.
why do we still have monkeys, man? Why do we still have monkeys? So now your number 6 on the list was Jade's Legacy video, and tell us about that.
So I had joined G Plus many moons ago, and I ran across Jade, and she is one of the few people that I've known who is an actual autodidact. The void that Jade left upon her death will probably never be filled. And so I decided to dedicate a series of videos to her because she was genuinely interested in my academic pursuits and my professional ones. And so I was taking a course called cell culture, and that is basically learning how to manage human cells or just any cells in a controlled environment, and to successfully allow them to replicate and successfully be stored under certain conditions. And so I dedicated those videos to her because she was looking forward to me making the videos.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, here's a quick clip of Drag in a Laboratory in a tribute to Jade's legacy.
That means, if you were wondering, no more sugar, no more visible sugar. vent's kind of loud, but you're not going to hear the alarm this time. So in this particular lab, let's go back. In this particular lab, this is a trypsinization and microphotography of adherent cells lab.
I don't know what any of that shit just meant, but it sounded like intelligent like a motherfucker. You're like, well, what? I gotta pull out a dictionary to understand the fucking sentence. I think I'm in trouble. So, what's going on here, man? What is this?
Basically, what happens is when you get cells, they tend to attach to one another, and they'll attach to a particular surface. So what I have to do is I have to stop them from doing that, because I want them to. I gotta describe. I want to transfer them eventually to a different container or to freeze them, and so I have to stop them from sticking to one another. So when I do trypsinization, that's pretty much the process of me adding a compound called trypsin, which will separate them and help them break up, so that I can transport them successfully and not damage them.
Are you whispering, Drag?
Yeah, my little brother's trying to sleep.
Oh, okay.
Snowball microphone.
I thought you was in the lab somewhere. Like what?
No.
I told him he was doing a hostage video. I said he's doing a hostage video.
Yeah, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, what are you doing, man? Like he had a secret location with the CIA or some shit.
Give it his top 10 list.
Yeah, what's going on? Like, what the fuck?
Oh my God. Damn, this must be hard. We should have thought this out a little differently, Drag. Because I feel bad for making you go through this, man. I feel bad.
You good? How about is that a little bit better?
No, that's good. No, you're fine. The audio's fine.
You're good, man. You're good.
So let's get through because we're halfway through Drag's list. We're at founding the Dragons.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So go ahead. You want to go ahead introduce this clip? What's going on?
So really, I just had a video where I was just talking about it, but really the founding of the Dragoons happened over G+. So what happened is this idiot G-Man started noticing that there's a lot of motherfuckers that don't like him. And then people started realizing that I own his ass. And so when people started noticing that, they would pretty much like keep referencing me in some way, shape, or form. So he figured there was some type of like cult of Dragnot. So he started calling folks, the cult of Dragnot, y'all Dragnot's minions and shit like that. So I said, that's okay, we'll run with that. And so I said, well, if he's gonna call y'all that, y'all need a fancy name. And so people voted on Google Plus for the name, and that's where Dragoons came from because it was one of the options. So that's when we end up founding the Dragoons, and it's a running joke that he created, but he don't realize it.
Yeah. Interesting. So I'm not even going to show that clip. I'm going to your number 4 clip because number 5 is Drag's founding the group. So we're going through the top 2008 moments that Drag has from his channel. And number 4 is G-Man doesn't realize genes cause disease. So I'm just going to play it because it seems like it speaks for itself.
Yeah, man, it's bad. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Should I play the whole 6 minutes or should I just play a piece of it? All right, I'll play the whole 6. Here we go. 6 minutes of G-Man stupidity.
But I want to talk about genetics and whether or not disease can actually be passed down from our parents. For some video responses for this particular video. And believe it or not, I really don't know that much about this topic. And you'll know why in a minute when I get to talk about this. But I have questions for both. For both the skeptics that watch this channel and the theists that watch this YouTube channel. You know who you are. I think this is a good spot. Because I don't want to make this too long because I actually got to head to work soon. But I guess the thing that I want to point out first regarding this topic of genetics, usually if your grandparents had diabetes or cancer or some type of illness, then usually their children will get they're likely to get the same illness themselves, and then their children are likely to get it, and their children are likely to get it, and their children are likely to get it. My thing is this. I know to a degree that that's true. That if you practice, and this is my take on it. If you do the things that your parents did, then it's likely that you're going to get the same diseases that they had. But apparently, now I heard this from somebody, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's true. So this is why I'm asking you guys to help me out with this here a little bit. Apparently, even if you don't do what your parents did, you're still likely to get cancer, and you're still likely to get diabetes and things like that and whatnot. And I'm wondering if that's true. I've already called somebody up on YouTube and asked them to help me get a proper understanding on this, because due to popular belief, you know what I mean? Contrary, I'm sorry, to popular belief, I don't know everything. So I will be making videos like this, asking questions. As a matter of fact, there'll be a lot of videos like this on this YouTube channel when I'm doing it. Never got around to doing it. So if you stop doing, my question is this: if you stop doing the things that your grandparents and your parents was doing,
like living,
right? Let's say you're not eating a high sugar diet, are you likely to not get diabetes, even though your parents had it? You understand what I'm saying? Your parents ate a lot of sugar. You understand what I'm saying? Your parents, your grandparents, and the people before that, your great-great-grandparents, whatever, ate a lot of sugar, and they got diabetes. You're in their bloodline, so according to what I'm learning about genetics, that you're likely to get it as well. That these illnesses and diseases is passed down to you. But what if you didn't practice what your parents was doing, or your grandparents was doing, or your great-great-grandparents was doing? Are you still likely to get diabetes? That's my question. And that's the question for the skeptics and the people that know a lot about this particular topic. Because, like I said, this is not one of my topics.
So is that it? Is it just him just saying?
That's really it, man. That's really look. Think about this for a second. This man went 40 years of his life and didn't realize that certain diseases can be passed down from parent to child.
Oh shit.
There's kids in elementary school that can figure that shit out. He had this dude, like, look, he sent me a text message and asked me about this shit. I thought he was joking. So look on my channel. There's a response video that I made directly to this, and I pulled up my doggone PowerPoint to explain to this dude that yes, it don't matter what you eat or drink. If one of your parents has Huntington's disease, you probably got Huntington's disease. If your parents got hemophilia, guess what? Your ass probably gonna get hemophilia. It don't matter what you eat or drink.
There's Drag, educating the fool as always.
And he still don't realize.
Wow.
And you had PowerPoints on demand for that shit too?
Yes.
I gotta. When I ask you questions, I'm scared to death now.
That's terrible, man.
I have PowerPoints from my classes, and they're not hard.
Well, let's move through the list because we have two more of these lists to go through. All right, so this next one, I don't know why this was so high. Meeting Debbie. So you can just go like halfway through that video that Nestle did. Nestle did a pre summation because me and a whole bunch of other people on Talking Shit Tuesday met this woman, and she's a flat earther, conspiracy. She don't believe dinosaurs existed. Well,
she's bad.
Here is a clip of listening to Debbie.
She believed Jesus existed.
Oh yeah.
Oh damn. It's in a book. Yeah.
Patiently until you run out of breath, hoping that like hypoxia runs over you.
That's not going to happen, Drag.
20 minutes later.
It's acting again. Do you now understand why rockets go sideways?
Oh, I heard it's for liftoff. Yeah, friction or whatever they need for the Earth.
Oh, gravity!
Gravity!
Gravity, you fucking retard!
Gravity! Have you ever heard of fucking gravity? Gravity! Gravity!
You can't prove anything with the sun other than,
Do you know, Debbie, do you know that you can see the sun? We can actually see the sun. You can't see China. We can actually see the sun. If you go out, you can actually see the sun, but you haven't seen China.
If somebody told me China didn't exist, I would have to go out and prove it to myself and ride in an aircraft and land there. Man's word. You have to take.
Well, you're taking China. Hold on, you didn't say with China.
What does China have to do with the sun? Other than the sun rotates around.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does China have to do with the sun? Drag, you meet some very interesting people on this thing.
I do, man. They all are fucking retarded. All the retarded ass people find me somehow.
All right, so now your number 2 on Drag's list. Number 2. This is the number 2 moment. Is Scientist Mel meets Tommy Hall.
Look,
You got to tell us what happened here. This is going fucking crazy.
Oh, wow.
So I knew about Scientist Mel when she first joined the community, and she and I spoke privately about quite a few things because she had run across true empiricism, and she really didn't have too much interest in talking to dudes of that caliber, but inadvertently she ended up talking to Tommy about cancer. And my God, was it one of the most painful conversations, because Tommy don't know a whole hell lot about this damn topic. But man, Mel got like 2 damn master's degrees, one of them in chemistry. She doing big things in the lab every day. And Tommy's ass riding a lawnmower gonna tell her what science is. And so if you look at her fucking face in this conversation, man, it's like somebody hit her in the face with a goddamn wet fish. Like it is what the hell she's hearing. And I talked like when we went to meet up in New Orleans, she and I laughed about this shit for like half an hour. It was so bad.
Well, here it is: Tommy Hall and Scientist Mel.
We need to strengthen the immune system, right? That's a good to address cancer. However, look at what the scientific community has been doing with chemo. I want you to think about something. Do you deny that tumors, I'm sure you've heard me say this, that tumors sequester or house or harbor toxic chemicals?
I'm looking at these. I'm looking at these papers you sent me first of all, because before I can go any further, this is a review paper. This isn't actually an experimental paper that you sent me. It's just somebody talking about their perspective.
And I don't want to jump on you, Tommy. But this is not technically fasting. This is a fasting like diet.
Right.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's not really helping.
Yeah, they do
fasting. This is the fasting like diet, kind of like, I guess, like ketogenic diet or something like that.
I mean,
right. There's another one with a keto diet, But look, I can't.
Look.
Let me ask you. Let's go to that question though. Let me ask you. Do you agree that tumors house significant amounts of chemicals such as POPs, pesticides, insecticides, metals, that kind of thing? Would you agree with that?
I'm not going to agree to anything because I'm trying to go through and read what you just sent me, and some of it just sounds like nonsense.
That sit up for Tommy Hall, and that was on the geek room, folks. Oh my God.
Yes.
She said it just sounds like nonsense to me.
If y'all have not seen...
let me ask y'all something. Is Tommy Hall and True Empiricism the same person?
No, man, they're different.
Oh, they different people? I didn't know if they was just just using 2 different names. So I'd say.
I mean,
are they 2 different people for real? Okay.
They're kind of 2 different shades.
Oh, okay. Because they have the same MO, man. They just say a bunch of bullshit ass scientific words and mix it all up with different areas.
True Empiricism and Bruno Mars might be the same person. We're not sure about
that. Okay.
Actually, that'd be interesting.
That's what I like. Okay.
All right.
If y'all have not seen that whole if y'all got time, go watch that whole video, because the second part, because they split out in 2 parts.
It's 2 parts?
So yes, if you actually continue on, the half of it gets cut off because they take an intermission. She comes back and she does not take his shit at all. It is hilarious.
What is that on the Geek? That's on the Geek. That's in the Geek Room channel.
Geek Room, yeah. Yes, subscribe to the Geek Room. These people are like great, man.
They are in the chat right now. Geek Room, please.
What's up, Geek? What's up, Geek?
Oh, those are my boys right there, the Geek Room. Much love to them guys. Yo, so go watch that Scientist Mel destroy Tommy Hall. So the number 1 now it's funny because I wanted to ask people in the chat, who do you think Drag's number 1 top clip from 2018 involves? What person? I'm going to give you guys to the count of 5 to put something in the chat. So it could be anybody. It could be True Empiricism. It could be Darth Dawkins. Who do you think Drag's number 1 clip involves?
Jesus is Lord.
Jesus is Lord, probably.
He ain't ready.
All right, here we go. Number one clip for Drag for 2018 is G-Man leaving the Shield Squad.
Play that whole clip because I want to see them tears.
So we're gonna play 7. It's gonna be 7 minutes strong. G-Man leaves the Shield Squad. Tears are coming. Here we go.
Yo, he gets kicked out of Shield Squad.
Yes. I'm sorry. He gets kicked out of the Shield Squad.
Hello, everyone. I lost my voice from the previous hangout that I did, but
crying.
I got some correction from a real friend online. I've obviously listened to a lot of the comments that was left to me in the live chat of the last video that I did from Sister Mary Bennett, Sister Faith Lane, Darcel, I think her name is, and a couple of other people, and I just recently got off the phone with Sister Cherry. Guys, a lot of you know I don't talk about my personal life here online. I don't talk about like what goes on in my life personally and whatnot and everything and whatnot. And it's for a reason. I've had major trust issues. And I just don't like talking about my personal life. And when I trust somebody, I really trust them. And to a lot of times, it's to my own detriment. So I've made a decision. Well, actually, before I get to the decision, I want to let everybody know that that I talked to Sister Cherry about what I was going to do regarding the Vocab Malone G consciousness so real issue. The first thing that I want to do is I want to publicly apologize to Sister Cherry because she really didn't have anything to do with this. She did not agree with any of the decisions that were being made regarding me being kicked out of Shield Squad. So that's the first thing that I want to point out. So please don't take this out on Sister Cherry, what I'm about to say. She had nothing to do about this. She just tried to talk me out of this. And I think that this is what's best. Effective immediately, I'm going to be leaving YouTube for a indefinite period of time. This is not a vacation. I'm leaving. I can't trust nobody here on the internet no more. Oh boy, I should have did this first. Let me do this right now. Okay. I can't trust nobody here on the internet no more. And if I can't trust my own family, then I don't see the point of doing what I'm doing here online. I feel like that people are just using me here on the internet, and they don't genuinely really care. I've been doing this strong now for about 5 years, and like I said, I'm burnt out, and this was like the final straw. You know what I mean? I can't even trust Christians here on the internet. I can't. Out of everybody that's in Shield Squad, Sister Cherry has been the only one who I can honestly call a friend in that group. I don't really know TVCO that well. So TVCO, this is for you, man. I don't believe you had anything to do with that decision making. The new guys that are part of Shield Squad, I know you guys had nothing to do with that. But Sister Cherry definitely disagreed with the decision making that was going on. So effective immediately, I'm going to keep the channel up. All the channels are going to remain up. But I am officially canceling my debate with Captain Tazariot. I'm canceling all of my debates that I had scheduled. I will not be making any appearances on anyone's YouTube channel because I am sick and tired of getting stabbed in the back by people that are claiming to be good people and claiming to be my friends and everything and whatnot. And I had enough of that. I honestly had enough. And people are just getting me on their channel to use me. They're lying about me. They're saying I still is safe. I done had enough, guys. I honestly done had enough.
All right, that's good.
Damn, you went all the way to. He went back to the safe. He's still worried about that safe.
Yes. Yeah.
What are you talking about, man?
So if for those of y'all who don't know, so G-Man, when he first got on here, he told a story about God as his original, very first answered prayer argument. And when he told this story, he didn't realize about New Jersey law, because technically, the way that he originally told it, he is a thief because he stole somebody else's property that had money in it. It was a safe. So he's upset because people pointed out to him that the way that he told that story, he is legally liable for that. And he gets tired of it being brought up because he felt it was so strong as a personal testimony. So that's why he's tired of people bringing it up.
Stealing the safe is a personal testimony of how great God is.
Yeah, I agree with G-Man on that. I think G-Man got a point.
Oh my God.
That crazy ass father told people shit. I mean, so ain't no telling, man. But Abraham to kill his damn son. I mean, I don't know. G-Man might have a point. It's schizo. All the motherfuckers were schizo. So
well, listen, since that's Drag's top moment of G-Man's tormented pain, I kind of feel sorry. That clip made me feel for the brother. I feel for the brother.
Really, Nate.
I feel for the brother. The brother's like he's crying his heart out right there. He's like, God is taking even the Christians.
Good.
He's giving up the Christianity. He said the Christians are treating him bad. So if they're treating you bad,
I'm gonna tell you what I think about that, Nate. I'm gonna give you my favorite Rocky, one of my favorite Rocky parts from Drago. If he dies, let him die. He dies.
He dies. Well, listen, from Drag's heartless list, because that list was heartless. I'm just going to keep it real. That was a heartless list.
Threatened my family. He's threatened to beat me with a sledgehammer. I'm ignoring them tears.
That's true. I was misinformed about all the information. So yes. So here's my number 10. My top 10 has a lot of stuff going on. So you're going to see everyone kind of in here. My top 10 starts off with me.
Yeah, they can't hear us.
Yeah, they wouldn't be able to do anything. All right, the stream health is back. It says it's good, and we're back. All right. Stream resumed. Let me check the chat. Yeah, I got all green over here. Is the stream good? Were you looking at it at?
Yeah, I'm on my phone
and my YouTube stream has just got a spinning circle still.
What's mine doing too is buffering.
Yeah, I might just have to just end this stream because it's saying.
Oh, what happened?
It says live stream offline.
Oh, for real? I was wondering, was that my internet? I guess it's not.
Yeah, mine is saying live stream.
I'm traveling right now, so I don't know if I was in the internet or not. But so it's right then.
Yeah, it must be something up with YouTube because I'm looking at OBS is good. I'm looking at this is good. It keeps cutting off the stream, then cutting it back on. All right, so now I think we're back up. Yeah. All right, so it fixed itself.
Well, there it is. Yep.
Yep, it fixed itself. Got it. Sorry, guys. For some reason, YouTube gave us low output, then he gave us back the out. So I don't know what just happened, but it seems like we're back. All right. So my number 10 clip almost crashed the damn thing. All right. Science to smell. So let's get back.
It says they're getting voice, but no video moving, which is true. Oh, I see video kind of jerking.
Yeah, it's saying here low video output for some reason.
Okay, here we go. Now we're moving around.
Live stream. There it is. There it is.
All right. There we go. Back on.
All right. Okay. Sorry about all of the stream issues. It's funny because we've never had this issue before. All right. Maybe my computer's getting old. This way it's telling me it's time to hit Black Friday up. All right. So my number nine clip from 2018 was simply the Non Sequitur show. They did a show where Emperor Atheist was on about Christopher Hitchens, and I thought it was and you know I'm a big Hitchens fan. I think he was brilliant, and part of them giving kind of life to his on his anniversary to him. I just really, I found it to be moving. So here's just a quick clip from that show. Imp was on it. Imp, you want to say anything about it? How'd you like doing that show?
Oh, that was a wonderful show, man. You know, because I actually, you know, like I said, I love Chris Higgins too, and I actually got to meet him. So, you know.
Oh, when'd you meet him?
Yeah, I actually met Chris Higgins in 2008. Actually debated Chris Higgins. I talked about it on the show. He actually debated one of my old theological professors at the University here in Atlanta. That's when I actually got to
Ip, you got your hand over your phone?
Yeah, you got to get close to your mic.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Drag nuts in the basement, and you was like far from the phone.
Yeah, I know drag not in hiding and shit. But yeah, I actually got to meet Christopher Hitchens in 2008, man. He debated one of my assistant theological professors at Emory Theological Studies. And matter of fact, I need to upload that debate.
Yeah.
He destroyed my old professor, by the way. But it was a good debate. Matter of fact, I just talked to my professor probably about 2 years ago about the debate. He was talking about how he missed Christopher. He said, because him and Christopher kept in touch. But, you know, my professor, he stayed within Christianity. But we always talk, man. But Scientist Sam said he can't hear me at all. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you good now.
You're good.
Scientist Sam, can you hear me now?
In the commercial.
I'm also looking in the chat too.
All right. But all the levels.
Monty say I'm using a sock as a mic.
Oh, he was. That's why he couldn't hear you when you were muffled before. That's what he's talking about.
Oh,
that's why
no,
Drag
Monty,
told you.
I'm using the mic you gave me, Monty.
Yo, but let's play the clip. You guys are fucking crazy. Let's play the clip.
Yeah. We got a show, me, Nate, Brody, and Dragnot, called Three Black Heathens show, if y'all haven't checked it out. Since, atheism is still, it's bad to say, but, it is what it is. It's still kind of like some type of, goal at the end of the rainbow for blacks and minorities. So we're just trying to basically touch more minorities. You know what I mean? We're trying to get some black Christopher Hitchens and some guys, so our people can get out this damn religious, strut that they stuck in. So, and also my show, the Embrace It Show, man, y'all come check that show out too. So, just trying to normalize atheism, fight against basically religious bullying in the spirit of Christopher Hitchens, man, because I love that guy. So, when I seen you post it, I said, man, I got to get on this, man, because I love the Hitch. I actually met him in 2007 at a debate. He was debating one of my co-professors, by the way, at Emory Theology School, Candler School of Theology that I attended. And yeah, he destroyed him. But I mean, Tim was a good sport. Tim said he loved me, wanted him back. This was in 2007. And he came to Atlanta. And actually my cousin, matter of fact, y'all can go get that clip. It's a real clip. It's not one of his more popular debates. And a lot of people talk, because it was a small audience, but I happened to be there and actually met him and hugged him. But my cousin, Cynthia Tucker, who was actually an editor for Atlanta Journal-Constitution, knew Christopher Hitchens through journalism. She told me he was going to be there, and I had just heard about the guy through her, matter of fact, but she's still a Christian. But she told me about him and how he speaks and how he writes. And that's how I even got introduced to Christopher Hitchens through her about 2005, 2006. And I started following the guy, and that's it. And I went.
So Imp, why was Christopher Hitchens able to move you so much? Like, what was it about him that made you become such a fan?
Basically, man, his the way he spoke. Besides his intellect, just the way he spoke, he was like me. He's like a no nonsense guy. Like, if you bullshitting, like, we're gonna call you on your bullshit. Like, fuck you and your bullshit. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. That's the type of attitude Christopher Hitchens had, and he was an intellectual. He was very intellectual. He knew how to. Not only did he know how to research, but he actually knew how to explain his thoughts on history, because he loved history. He really was. He was a political guy. I didn't agree with a lot of his political insights, but I understood him. He was real big on the Iraqi war. He was real big on a lot of different things. He's real big on the Bush family and different things. Da 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 da. I know, those who are familiar with Chris, he wrote for the Souvenir magazine. He wrote for Vanity Fair. He wrote for a lot of different people. But just his no-nonsense approach at debating and showing religion to be nonsense. He didn't beat around the bush like a lot of people do. He didn't try to use a lot of philosophical, rhetorical whirlwinds to try to make his point. He's just straight up, hey, it's bullshit. This is why it's bullshit. That's basically why I like the Hitch, because he was a great debater, and he was a no nonsense type character.
Well, amen to that, man. Trust me, I love the Hitch too, and that's the reason why that was my number 9 clip. So I'm gonna start moving these clips a little quickly because we're reaching a quick little time limit. So my number 9 clip is, remember the time that G-Man doxed everybody? So this was the G-Man doxing, and he fucking doxed me out. And it's funny because I was the guy's friend. Next thing I know, he's apologizing for doxing. So this is just a quick 2-second thing. Listen to this.
I came here to talk about the last days and what's going on in the last days, and I find myself talking about things that don't even matter at the end of the day. I deleted the 2 videos I made where I expose everyone's information.
What?
No matter what they're doing to me right now, even though I've lost my job,
did it.
Even though these people are putting my real name in the title of their videos,
you put it out to everybody. Don't be.
Yeah, so that was G-Man doxing us all, telling everybody our as he calls it, putting out our personal information.
Ooh. Terrible.
Yeah, but that's the Christian way, though. Supposedly, that's the Christian way.
Of course, it's the Christian way. That's how they rock.
Don't criticize them now. Don't criticize them.
Now,
criticize the truth.
Oh my God. Now I gotta go. My number 7 clip is my man True Empiricism. He had to make the list somewhere. True Empiricism had to make this list.
Oh man, don't tell me it was a population one.
This is the one where he says Trump made 50 billion new jobs, and that's why Trump is a great president. So you're going to hear True Empiricism that he deleted this hangout. Now I got to set it up because he said that he wanted people to take him seriously as an intellectual. He wanted people to take him seriously, and then he said this shit in that same video. So this is True Empiricism. Trump has made us 50 billion new jobs, and that's why we need to take him seriously.
Make America great again.
Thank you, Trump.
That claim gets accurate. And how much he saved? Because he said he saved us X amount of dollars, and he said he saved us. Let me see how much he's exactly saying. So Republicans triple. So let's see it. Let's see how much True Empiricism says. So this year last year it was a $242 billion budget deficit. So True Empiricism says Trump has saved us money. Let's see how much he saved us.
Obama wasn't anywhere near the same as it is with Trump now. He's been doing a very good job. 50 million jobs. He's helped produce with another 12 billion production of wealth. He's saved us over $9 trillion.
So let's just make sure we get those numbers right. He said 50 billion jobs, 50 billion with a B, and he's
dollars as it is with Trump now. He's been doing a very good job. 50 billion jobs. He's helped produce with another.
Yeah. So Trump has knocked trillions of dollars off the debt and created 50 billion jobs. Now that number is so bad. There's not even 10 billion people on the planet Earth. We would all have to work something like 6 jobs for that to be true. So, yeah. So there's and that's even the babies. Like the babies would be working too. And
that's how good Trump is. Don't you doubt Trump's ability. He can create more jobs than there are. Matter of fact, 5 times more jobs than there are people on the planet. Okay.
Well, because my list is going through, but we do have a guest, and I want to get to our guest. I'm just going to go to my top 3, and my top 3 is this is going to be funny. This is Emperor Atheist meets the G-Man.
Oh shit!
This is the one I set up. I think I set this up, didn't I?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Emperor Atheist meets G-Man.
Martin Van Buren, the 8th president of the United States. So I just wanted to clear you up on that. Now I want to answer. Now I want to say this.
I want God in the Constitution. Whoa. A lot of them are atheistic, and they put God in the Constitution. How does that make any sense?
God is not in the Constitution. Where's God in your Constitution?
Yes, he is.
Where? Show me. Show me where God is in any amendment.
Okay.
Show me that.
Okay, I don't know what amendment off the top.
I know you don't know because that's a lie. God is nowhere in the Constitution.
Wait a minute, you talking now? Now give me my opportunity. Our universities in the beginning were Christian universities, but the early settlers were atheists.
So did he ever give you the clip of God being in the Constitution?
Hell no, that dumb motherfucker didn't do that. That stupid motherfucker, man.
Oh my god. Oh my god! I thought I was, oh my god, yeah. It's not.
That's
just
almost as
everybody
bad as when he was talking to Gus and he said that Canada was part of the United States.
Oh my god!
No, he didn't say that, Drag.
He did say that, and then he went back and said, "No, it's because of it was not because of NAFTA. It was because of
what?
It was something. It was a North American something. It's some type of.
I'm not shocked. I mean, it's not like I'm shocked he would say some dumb shit like that. I'm just
He
saying.
said that.
Yeah.
He said, but then he changed it later as a no. I meant the North American Union. That's what some shit like that. Like no, you said Canada was part of the United States, and then argue with Gus about it too. It was adamant. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm just going to move on. All right, my number 2 clip was actually starting to show the 3 Black Heathens. That was number 2. Drag was like number 10 on Drag's list. It's number 2 on mine. Drag. I don't know how we moved, how we so far apart on that. But my number 1 clip is the debate with Kent Hovind. It's Kent Hovind versus Aaron Rod. Now we're supposed to be doing another debate with this guy. He's supposed to be bringing on a lawyer to say the fuck his conviction is not a conviction when the court says it's a conviction.
Wait, wait, he's gonna bring a lawyer to say that he didn't get convicted?
That's what he's trying to say, that he wasn't convicted of tax fraud. And I'm like, that's exactly what you were convicted. Literally, but hey, if this attorney can't read the opinion, then nothing I can do. So here's the clip of Aaron of me getting involved in the Aaron Ra, Kit Hovind fucking slaughter debate, and he's been slaughtering this guy.
Of a 58-count indictment, he wasn't found innocent on any of them. In his failed attempted appeal, he tried to systematically overturn every conviction by whatever feeble, pedantic, technical excuse he could think of, which included misdefinition of terms, just like he tried to defend himself against answers in Genesis. That's relevant here because he's already trying to do that same thing in our debate too. With that in mind, and realizing that his fans would never accept what I could sufficiently prove on my own, I contacted an attorney just to make sure I'm interpreting all this correctly. Professor Nate Brody has over 15 years' experience in law enforcement, both as a criminal investigator and prosecutor in New York City. Now he teaches legal analysis and is a practicing defense attorney. Mr. Brody will explain whether any of inmate number 0645-2017's many convictions count as fraud.
This is not legal advice.
Now, I got to give the little disclaimer, it's not legal advice. And then I actually just go on to read the opinion. So that's where it was. Because Kent Hovind, it's funny. He won't call him Aaron Ra. He calls him Mr. Nelson. So now Aaron Ra calls him by his prison number. So it's gotten bad, but
that's pretty good stuff. That's pretty good stuff.
Oh, my God. You got to read it. It is hilarious. It is hilarious. So listen, so we can get so we can, because I think we have Bert waiting here.
I did that earlier too. I was talking about Brett Keane. I called Bert Brett, and I was
Brett.
Like, oh Lord.
You guys better watch with that Brett Keane shit, man.
Oh my God.
Hey, it's still not as bad as DPR confusing me for G-Man, so I want to hear it.
Now,
still give him shit.
You're like a thick G-Man.
Yeah, I'm like 6 shades lighter than G-Man too. I was mad.
So this is going to just be a quick rendition of the top 10 that we have, because I do have clips for these, but I want to get to Bert. So our number 10 on this list is the death of Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking's death, I think, was and this is not the top 10 best moments, one of the top 10 moments of the year 2018. One of the things that I think changed, because this is somebody I think who actually changed the world for the better. So Stephen Hawking,
no
I put number 10 on that list. Now that's pretty far down, but that's 10 is still I think high.
He's better than Jesus. He is.
Well, he's number 10. I don't think Jesus would make the top 10. I don't think he'd make my top 10. But I'm just being honest. He might be number 11, but top 10.
Right.
Now we're talking about believing that.
20 now. Jesus
I think he'd make the top 20. Well, shit.
Muhammad might make top 30.
No, actually, you know what? I think Jesus could make top 10 because he got everybody thinking he's God. So I think if you can do that, billions of people to think that you God and pray to you, then you're making the top 10.
He got people drinking his blood and eating his flesh. That's like weird, man.
He must have been a hit with the ladies. Like, yo, they drink and eat flesh. You get to it.
Yeah, that's some sick vampire shit. But yeah, go ahead, man.
Well, so number 9 is for you guys that don't know, the first humans have been gene edited this year. And they were edited by a Chinese scientist who edited their genes so they can be immune to the HIV virus. What do you guys think about that? We're now at the point where we're able to edit the human genes. Drag is our science guy. What do you think, Drag?
Yeah, I think that's a protein, CD4 or something. I can't remember. CD something. But yeah, so HIV, HIV attaches to a very particular protein. That's how it's able to enter the cell. Well, people who survived like the polio epidemic, there's that same protein polio uses. So if you have a mutation to that, polio can't get in there, and neither can HIV. So people say, well, fuck it. What if I mutate that purposely and make myself immune? So that's where we're going. But now we're starting to get to that edge where we start talking about designer babies. We start talking about how we can transcend what it means to be human. We start getting into a lot of these science topics.
We're starting to get into transhumanism.
Yes, yeah, and it's gonna broach some very, very difficult topics and bioethics we're gonna see the next few decades, and it's gonna be a wild ride.
I'm with it.
What did they say? Yeah. They say somebody's alive today over the age of 30 who's going to live 1,000 years, based on the way. Some MIT geneticist said it, right? He's making some prediction or something. Oh no!
No, that's some comic book shit. That's too much.
No, look, hold on. Let me pull it up. This is MIT. Well, shit, I'm sounding like G-Man now, so let me not. I'm going to defer to the experts right now.
I see that, but I don't think that at all.
You don't think that at all? Oh, you saw it. You see, he make me think it's crazy. So. I'm like, an MIT guy said it. So why don't you think that's possible? You think it's just not
the longer
happen?
you live, the more likely you are to get cancer. Cancer will take your ass out before you reach 125.
Unless Drag, we come up with something to make us immune to cancer eventually. I'm of the idea. Man. I actually have hope in technology. I actually think I don't think we'll be around, but Bert laughed. Look, Bert just laughing and shit. But
I'm laughing at something I just wrote in the side chat.
Oh, he tripping on the side chat. Oh, okay. Yeah, that shit can be fun to look at.
It's a pretty good one if you want to check it out.
Oh yeah, the side chat be better than that damn show sometime. Hey, listen though, Drag. I actually have faith in technology. And I think, man, eventually, man, science. I think we're going to defeat a lot of the stuff that we think that's just not going to be defeated. I think in another maybe 60, 70 years, I think Ebola, HIV, of course, new diseases are going to rise. But I think a lot of this stuff will be better.
Yeah.
I mean, just think if we still here in 100 years, I mean, of course, you still think we're going to be stuck in the same at the same level of knowledge, the medical science, and of course not. So I think eventually we're going to defeat this shit. So ain't no telling what might happen. What Nate just said could probably be a possibility, man. Another 100, 200 years. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'm pretty skeptical about living 1,000 years. I would say maybe.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say 1,000 years. I ain't say 1,000.
Maybe 130. Maybe 130. Maybe 150. with certain
130, 150 be good enough for me. That'd be good enough for me.
Hey, just any more time would be good enough for me. I'm not into this death theology type thing. I want to live.
But I still need my dick. I still need my dick to get hard at 130. So I can be knocking off a 50. Be knocking off a 50-year-old. I'm 80 years older than my girl.
Like, baby, you just 105?
That's part of my field. That's tissue culture right there.
Damn, you a young girl. You ain't nothing but 100. What?
Well, the thing that you're seeing on your screen now is our number 7 pick, and that's the discovery of a whole nother system of a solar system outside of us called TRAPPIST-1, where 3 planets are in the habitable zone and 7 planets actually go around the planets. I think the most that we've found so far, and this was found during the transit method. So this is something that, at one point we didn't believe there were any other planets out there. We had no evidence, and now we know that there are other solar systems around other stars. And this was a huge story early in the year. It's called TRAPPIST-1, and it's an ultra cool dwarf star, but it actually has 7 planets, 3 in the habitable zone. So another amazing science discovery. Number 6 on our clip is our boy Trump. And remember when Trump went to, what's it called, Helsinki with Vladimir Putin? Yeah. So this number 7 on the list is Trump, when Trump went and he said that he believed Putin over his officials, and people were saying that he's in Vladimir Putin's pocket. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think Putin has something on Trump?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he has dirt, but I think there's certain advantages conferred by their relationship that aren't publicly noticeable.
Yeah, I think he got something on Trump. I do.
Well, Bert, what about you, Bert? Do you think he got something on Trump?
I'm on the fence on this. I go back and forth. I don't know.
Sounds like you're agnostic to the proposition.
Yeah, I was in a conversation with somebody on Christmas about this, and they were talking about They were talking about the Syria pullout and whether it was motivated by Putin. But I can think of a lot of other reasons that Trump is acting dumb with respect to Russia and Putin, without it being explicit, like that there is a PP tape out there or whatever.
Well, I'm less convinced of the PP tape and more convinced of maybe money laundering, because don't forget, a lot of the Russian oligarchs have co-ops in Trump Tower, and had bought into Trump Soho.
So very well could be the case.
So if you're talking about that money laundering is, I think, something that's real, something that's possible, and something that the Russian government would have records of. So
I think it's certainly possible. I would need more good data on that, I think.
Of course, no, I'm just saying, we're speculating here. I don't think it's anything that can be proven, but I think that's when, what Robert Mueller's looking at and all that stuff, just to see if you have those ties. Or I think the other guys went dark. But our last 5. I think people sometimes, people use the bathroom, they turn off the cameras, but I think everybody's all right. Just going back for our last 4, because I want to get through this real quick. Number 1, all right. So I did number 6 is LeBron James going to the Lakers. That's the number 6 moment this year.
Hey, I got to make a run right quick, y'all. Hold on, man.
All right. Number 5 is Donald Trump named as a co-conspirator with his lawyer Michael Cohen. So he's actually criminally named in an indictment, and in the charging documents for Michael Cohen. So I thought that seemed to be a big deal. Another big moment, number 4 on our list, was Kendrick Lamar winning a Pulitzer Prize for his album. First time that's ever happened. First time for a rapper. A very huge moment. Number 3 on our list was Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. One of the biggest movies of the year. And actually did the best solo Marvel movie of all time, and it broke box office records domestically. I think it's made $600-700 million. Made like some ridiculous number. So and they killed him in the last movie, which I didn't understand. Why would you kill? But obviously they're going to be coming back because you don't kill Black Panther. He made you over $1 billion. And our number 2 moment was Kanye West's slavery comment. Slavery was a choice. That's when I really figured this man is really mentally ill. Because, who can, slavery, the whole, well, G-Man also says the same thing.
I was
right?
say, yeah, it's mentally ill people.
That's his cousin. And our number 1 moment is obviously, is us starting the show, because we come to you every Sunday, even though it's been hell sometimes, some Sundays, to get this thing going. But
we got lives. That's part of the issue. We got lives.
Yeah.
People don't know the kind of shit Imp be into.
Oh my God.
People, women.
But that is our number 1 moment. So now, let us know. Next year, we're going to be asking for your number 1 moments and seeing if we can play various clips from various shows and things. Or what do you guys think? Again, we put it together this year, and this was just we thought was interesting for not only the community, but then also in general. So now I want to turn it over to Drag to introduce our guest, Bert.
So those of y'all who have been around for a while, some of y'all remember Bert from such glorious tales as the stomping of Trey Jadlow's asshole into oblivion.
Not just his ass, his asshole.
His asshole specifically into oblivion. One of the more enjoyable conversations that you could have on Google Plus would be with Bert, because he not only offers cogent responses to various serious topics, such as the inner solipsism of solipsism, but also such glorious topics such as the epistemological basis for pre-supper and how it matches exactly what the type of people that they deride, ironically enough. So I think that too often, we gorge ourselves, and I am definitely guilty of this, and as a proprietor of this as well, of this kind of the shit kicking that goes on. We don't have enough conversation, enough people willing to participate in some of the more rigorous conversations where it involves epistemology or anything, really dealing with philosophy. And so I am happy to reintroduce Bert back into the community after quite a bit of a hiatus. And so I do want to kind of skip over the highlights, the IMDb Cliff Notes version of yes, folks, he made Shrek. He designed Shrek's penis. We have to get past that.
I did put, this is a true story, I did put a tattoo on human Fiona's ass that was underneath that green dress. Said, what? I'm not joking. At one point, she in dailies she rendered without her dress, and they're like, "What the hell is that?" There's a little heart that said "Mom" on her butt.
Here you heard it first, folks. There is a mom tattoo. I'm actually going to tell that to my son, and my wife.
For what it's worth, we the legs started intersecting the dress so much that we just would turn off most of the legs. Or actually, people started getting disturbed by seeing when she'd render out her dress, she'd have this flesh-colored kind of Barbie unit, like the nondescript nub, and so they gave her green leotards to deal with that. So eventually, we would no longer see my tattoo, but early on it was there.
Oh man! So really quickly, what are some of the projects you were previously working on?
Well, I worked for DreamWorks for 20 years, and I was on the How to Train Your Dragon movies and the Croods, Over the Hedge and Flushed Away, some of the earlier films. And Ants was my first film there. Back in '96 is when I started. For the last 2 years, I've been doing. I've actually been at other studios and working on live action projects for TV and film. And actually enjoying the pace quite a bit. I like the fast turnaround of the TV episodes. The current studio I'm at, we're working on Stranger Things Season 3 and Umbrella Academy, which looks badass. That's going to be coming out.
Yeah, you're not going to just skip past Stranger Things because
he just like ran through that like super quick, Bert.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about it.
Of course not. We don't want to. I would hate if you spoiled it for me. I'd come over there and beat your ass up. I don't want you to tell me nothing. But it must be fascinating working on that.
So when you were talking about you were working on it, so you're specifically animating things like the Gorgon monsters and stuff like that.
Well, I'm not gonna give away what we're doing because it would give away plot points or whatever.
Hypothetically, the creatures we've already seen that don't
Hypothetically, there would
exist.
be creature stuff or other types of things. Yeah, there'd be lots of things. It looks pretty badass. I'll say that. And Umbrella Academy, if you haven't checked out the teaser trailer for that, you should check it out. It's gonna be a badass series. My daughter's super excited about that because she read the comics probably 10 years ago when she was in middle school or whatever. And that looks, check out the teaser trailer. They released it at Comic-Con for Umbrella Academy.
I had to check it out. Somebody wrote in the side chat, Bert released the Snyder Cut.
What is the Snyder Cut?
That's for Justice League, not Justice League. Batman v Superman.
Oh, right.
the secret Snyder Cut.
What else? The studio they've done all 4 seasons of The Expanse. The Expanse is their big series. So they do all the space stuff. The Expanse, which is pretty badass. The current season we're working on right now, and it's pretty badass. And I'm actually working on a IMAX 3D project about asteroids. That's one of the biggest IMAX budget films. It's a 3D. It's one of the when you go to the IMAX theater to see it in 3D. Sounds like it'll be out next year, like next fall or something. And it's about it's called Asteroid Impact, I think is the name of it. And it's their biggest budget effects budget that they've had. But basically talks about asteroid hunting and the process that they go through, and it traces throughout it a fictitious asteroid that is going to collide with the Earth. And they play out that collision and what the impact of it would be. So we're destroying cities and we're destroying towns, and it's pretty badass, big effects. And then
Pretty much the sequel to the Apocalypse movie.
yeah, and then they have and then they go through what actually happened, which is that they prevented the asteroid from colliding via intercepting it. And so we have a couple of big sequences in that. So it's probably the hardest thing I've ever worked on. It's a lot of fun. It's obviously IMAX resolution, so it's like 4K by 3K or something like that, and it's like and it's stereo, so it's both eyes. And I've never had to do stereo live action work, which is interesting to me because I did lots of stereo films in animation, but not in live action.
So your day-to-day work isn't just simply sitting at an easel drawing things. You're working more so at a computer with software, trying to design 3D objects that seem realistic, correct?
Right. Yeah. I'm a CG supervisor, so I do hands-on work. I execute shot work, and then I also walk around and give notes to my leads and to my team, and I sit in rounds and in dailies and in client calls and interface with them. I do a little bit of coding, so I do some pipeline work on the side in Python and C++. Actually, the big project I was on right before I started at my new studio, I actually wrote something for the Unreal Engine where I hijacked the Unreal Engine is a gaming engine, and I actually hijacked the viewport function to represent images. I basically made it such that I could track a point in actual space, so I could walk around my cell phone and track that point, and walk to the grazing angle of a TV and look into it as if it's a 3D world, and basically turn an LED screen into a window. And then took that technology and wrote a system where I could calibrate as many LED monitors as I want and have them have a coherent space about them. And I used it on an HBO series called Run that's going to be coming out in the spring probably, that takes place on a train. And we actually created 14 or 15 LED screen windows down the length of an actual train. They built out a train set inside of a hangar and inside of a warehouse. And the LED screens are against the windows and represent the world outside. So the actors are on the train, and as they move the camera through the space, all of the horizon lines and everything are all changing dynamically in every screen to represent what would be outside the window. And they can walk down, you can look out the window one way, you look out the window the other way, and you get all this light reflecting in from the screens. We made it such that you could actually tilt all the screens and pour actual lights in using physical lights that they want to light the set with. So I wrote a whole system that did all that. I wrote most of that core chunk that I described, and then there was another guy I was working with who was mapping pixels within this footage that we were playing on these screens, and we could actually use their lights and color their lights dynamically. So you would see down the length of a train, if there were trees going by, you would see the beats of light coming streaming down the train as if it was really going through a forest with the sun being attenuated by the trees. So
Wow.
if you watch the pilot episode of that, that's actually a new technology that was never used before. So
And you were the innovator of that.
I am, yeah. I wrote that, started last March, and then worked on that exclusively for that studio for 6 or 7 months or 8 months.
Hey, Bert, one thing, how has the technology changed from because obviously it sounds like you've been in the field for a while. Has it been like a quantum leap, or has it been small steps to make the changes? Because now it seems like you're working at a space where it's something miles and miles apart from before.
What I started with, yeah, they are incremental changes, but when you look at them, you can see these giant leaps. But in the time that you're in them, they don't seem like it. It feels like incremental. So it's certainly a lot different for me on a TV and live action budget versus the animated films. Animated films, I was on How to Train Your Dragon, the first film, for 3 years. So we adopted a chunk of software early on in that project and stuck to it for 3 years. And the studio was still working on other films, but it was a really it's like, as it's kind of the analogy of changing the direction of an aircraft carrier. It's like, DreamWorks is a big behemoth studio with a lot of long-term plans and doesn't get a lot of chance to kind of try things out and because you have long-term implications, you have to really kind of commit to something early. Whereas when I'm on projects now, like these TV series, when I was last year, I was working on a couple of the Marvel TV shows and some Exorcist episodes. And every episode, I was able to actually try different things. So those episodes would come in maybe 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, we'd have a different episode coming in. And so every 2 weeks, I can try some new little pipeline thing that I'm thinking about, or I can try a new approach to something and really work and prototype quickly. And there's no long-term implication. If it fails, I can quickly change out, and it doesn't have like a long-term ramification. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really liking the pace of this, is like I can really get in and kind of play and test things out. And then you want to have kind of like these longer term studio-wide objectives that you're trying to get going. So there's a lot of technologies I look back on and go, wow, that only lasted one film, and then we were using something entirely different, or there'd be some new volume format or something. Like there was this one called HVDs that we were using, and then HVDs went away after we were using it for shadowing trees and whatnot, and those went away after like Over the Hedge, like one film we had them, and then they were gone because we switched to a whole different technology. But for that moment, it was a big innovation. So
it's funny, we got a question from Immutable Destiny, and he asked, how much physics goes into the animation?
Well, we're right now on this. So we're working with NASA and with some science advisors on this asteroid project, and they want everything to scale, right? And they want real world physics and forces. And when you talk about the scales we're operating at, we were really challenged because you run into precision issues with the animation and whatnot. So weird stuff starts happening in the computer because your numbers are so big that you're doing math on them, that you have all sorts of like precision. Basically, things start breaking down, especially the further you get from the origin, right? The numbers get bigger and bigger, and then and you have you run into precision issues in the software. So we had to find ways to scale portions of it and then scale it back up. To do effects, we would take all the forces and scale them down proportional to whatever it is we were doing. So we would scale the force of gravity by some measure that we were scaling the rest of the things, execute our physics, and then blow it back up. So, and when we built out the Earth, so we were using the Expanse's Earth, and then kind of building on top of that, and we were laying out the atmosphere. We were working in real world scales and trying to replicate the physics and whatnot. So we put a lot of work into it for sure.
Well, we all know the Earth is flat. I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. We're talking about flat Earth models here. We're not talking about real Earth models.
Yeah, no. In this asteroid impact, you're going to see a flat Earth. Yeah. That's right.
What's the? Oh, I think Drag is keeping track of the questions. What's the next question, Drag?
The next question is from But. Does animation contingently existence happen becoming predicate affect itself before it exists?
Where's Trey when I need him? Or Fox in the know. The beard of contingency. It is contingently existent because it becomes and isn't becoming. So yes, it does affect itself before it exists. But if you're wondering.
Thank you. For those of you who don't get the joke, Trey Jadlow has literally his own esoteric language, to which only he knows, and yet he will chastise you for not understanding the terms that he uses in his own unique way.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Butt knows Trey's jargon as well as I do. He is a master of the Jadlow.
Is Drag frozen, or is he just like really still?
I think Trey used his magic powers to drag.
And he froze like at the perfect time. Oh, there he is.
There he goes.
Yeah, he moved again.
My computer.
Yeah, no, it looked like you just froze for a second and then start moving again.
Yeah, no, it.
There it is again. Mr. Freeze is at Drag's house. Freezing him.
Oh, did he really freeze again?
Yeah, he freezes at the time where you think he's finished. This guy was finished what he's saying, and it freezes like at the perfect moment for the past couple of times.
He's moving, dude. He's got to be moving.
Nah, he's not moving. He's not moving. It froze at that perfect part. There it is. You see? He's moved again now. There we go. You're alive. You're alive.
He's animating it one frame every 6 seconds.
Hey, but Bert, how'd you get into the business? Is because you and how long have you been in the business?
So I've been in the business since 1996, so 22 years. Is that right? 22 years. And was it 96? Yeah, I guess it was 96. Summer of 96. I graduated from Columbus College of Art and Design in Ohio, and had been computer animation was new at that point. Jurassic Park came out about 3 years before that. I was going to school to do traditional animation. One of the reasons why I chose that school is they had internships with Walt Disney. And so I was looking to do traditional hand-drawn animation, but I had a computer background. My brother had taught me to program back when I was in middle school in the mid-'80s or early 80s.
Pascal. You knew that means you know Pascal. I learned when I learned programming, we learned Pascal.
I learned the most archaic one I can raise is Lisp. So I've worked in Lisp before.
That's before my time.
So and BASIC was on the PC, right? So I was programming in BASIC, and then in college I had to learn Lisp to operate these systems that we were using. But Jurassic Park had come out, and the industry blew up. Toy Story came out my senior year. DreamWorks had bought a 40% stake in a company that was kind of a sister company to Pixar. Pixar and PDI, the company that I had started with, both used to throw their SIGGRAPH parties together. Like they would do everything together. They had a lot of employees that went back and forth between them. They were in the Bay Area as well. And both those companies, before Pixar got big, they were both doing similar types of commercial work and whatnot. Disney had invested in Pixar and then made Toy Story with them. And Jeffrey Katzenberg, seeing the writing on the wall, went out and made a deal with a company, and they bought a 40% stake in PDI. I was coming out of college just as they were starting pre-production on Ants, and they were looking to ramp up. My teacher in Columbus had hired back, but when he was in the industry, had hired a guy out of Ohio State who was then working at PDI, and that guy had property back in Columbus, so he came out to look at the property, and I got an opportunity to talk with him and show him my work. We kept in touch, and then they ended up making me an offer, and I went out. And then I worked on Ants. I worked on Shrek. I stayed up there for about 5 or 6 years, and then I came down to LA to help build out the CG pipeline. Once DreamWorks was shutting down its 2D animation and going with 3D down in LA as well, and 2D was kind of dying. I went down as kind of part of that group to help build that out. And then I was there up until about 2 years ago. And then I've been I was at another longtime studio called Stargate doing television work. And now I'm in Toronto at a company called Spin VFX. And Spin has been around for 25 years as well. And their founder, Nigel, was one of the co-founders of Alias, who makes Maya, for anybody who knows Maya's. So my boss was founded that company. He also helped found the company that makes Houdini, which Houdini is another big industry-wide package. Spin's been around for a long time. They're in a really good point right now. Really enjoying it a lot. So it's cool. Yeah, I really dig it. It's fun. Toronto's a great city. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was actually going to ask you before my computer decided to disconnect from the internet twice and have a seizure in the middle of that was that your background is computer animation specifically, correct?
Yeah, although I was a traditional artist, so I graduated with a degree in illustration, but that's only because they didn't offer computer animation things. But I'm a painter, like I'm a 2D artist as well.
So you're self-taught the programming aspect of it.
Yeah, my brother taught me how to program. He got me started, but I'm self-taught now. I don't when I had to learn Python or I had to learn C++ or the things that I code, the systems I code now are all from self-taught. Yeah. Although I have a Pluralsight account, which Pluralsight's pretty fantastic for learning stuff like programming on the side. So for a pretty affordable rate.
Right. So that's something that I wanted to, because I heard you mention that earlier during the seizure. And that's something that's interesting because I think that people nowadays are under the impression that you specifically do need a degree to get into some of these fields. But it sounds like if you're motivated enough and you can show your talent, like have a good portfolio, you could impress people enough to put you not only in the company, but in positions of power, such as a supervisor.
Yeah. Well, sorry, what was the initial, I misheard you or didn't hear you on the initial condition you were saying. You said it sounded like if you what?
If you don't have a degree specifically
right, yeah, sure.
that field.
Yeah. One of my good buddies who's in the field worked at a camera shop, and he got worked at a camera shop, and this guy that we both know, Martine, used to go to that camera shop and liked his interactions with him a lot and said, hey, do you want to come be a production assistant? And production assistants kind of stock the shelves and kind of do facilities type thing. So he came over and he started doing that, and then he would stay late at nights and get familiar on the machine with the tools and whatnot, start asking people if they could give him a little bit of mentoring. And then now I've worked with him for 20 something years, and he's and another guy who's one of a guy who I started with, who is one of the top people in the field. He was programming ATMs for Bank of America before he started. So there's I think it certainly helps, but there are ways to get into the industry without just coming out with a degree. And in fact, there are a lot of good trade schools. We hired most of our animators through Animation Mentor, which is a online program. But if you look for Animation on Mentor on YouTube, their reels are fantastic. The people who come out of that, and that's all taught by industry people, but it's all remote. It's not an actual academy with a degree or anything like that. It's not a university. I think you get some type of certificate or certification coming out of it, but it's more about being able to demonstrate that you can do the work. Really, I don't care where you went to school. I care about what your reel is, what your experience is, what your knowledge level is, stuff like that.
All right. So we have some questions for you. How far has curve/surface fitting technology evolved, since most of the objects you deal with have complex geometries to model mathematically?
In terms of fitting to, wrapping and using deformers to wrap to surfaces, that stuff's been pretty well established for a long time. I don't think there's any new functionality needed. But maybe I'm misunderstanding the question. But for modeling and whatnot, and representing and conforming one type of geometry to another topology, that stuff's pretty well known and pretty straightforward.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. Brett Keane just left a comment on my last video. Yeah. So, and thank you all for the questions. Please keep them coming because I'm actually learning a bit about this. I can't draw worth a damn.
So traditional or digital art?
Yes, that's the next question.
Yes, traditional or digital art.
I prefer both, actually. When I get a chance to paint,
not an answer.
I love painting with oils and gouache, but I do a lot more digital just because that's where I'm at, and people know that I'm a Photoshop aficionado. I have as well. I have I like to draw penises on things, as Trey took offense to.
Yes, I remember that because he found it abhorrent that a father and an adult daughter have a wonderful relationship drawing penises of various shapes and sizes and girths.
Yeah, my daughter and I would take snap photos of people using Snapchat and then send each other. And my daughter's an artist as well, and so we could do some fairly good work crafting giant penises into things. And I was at the time, this is a couple of years ago, I was explaining how this was something we both enjoyed. Like I would always crack up. I would get them in meetings or whatever, and it was something that kept my daughter and I in touch when we were when she was in college. We would send these back and forth and kind of crack each other up and kind of make each other's day, and just enjoying our relationship. And Trey said my parenting was beyond the pale because this was something that we did, and took note of it because it was in I had actually made a post about it, and I had linked a couple of my friends on G+, but didn't intend it to be something that would offend other people out there or something. And he took offense to it, and then raised it up about 3 or 4 months later. And the sad thing is that we had this debate. It's the debate where I demolished him, but it's on my channel. And right before we went on air, we probably spent about 15 minutes talking about his own struggles with parenting. And I was empathizing with him, and we were having a real moment together. Like, I like Trey, and Trey and I were having a very friendly conversation about the challenges of parenting. He's had some really tough times with his family that he's been very vocal about. And I was empathizing with him as difficult it is to raise kids. And then he turned around and said that, like, that very same week. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Right? Like, I didn't bring any of that stuff up to anybody else. I still haven't. It's fine if he wants to talk about it, but I'm not going to, go around telling people about this frank conversation I had with Trey where he shared some things. And then he just did that, which was just a shitty thing.
Yeah, I know what came up, and I know a little bit about Trey, but he's never said much to him. He has, but I'll leave Trey alone.
I like Trey, and I don't have even then I didn't have like this
animus towards him.
No, it was just kind of more of a roll the eyes moment of Jesus, dude, really, like.
Yeah, I mean that's part of his personality though, and Trey, and I'm glad we're kind of getting to this segue. Actually, hold on. Okay, we still got something because I wanted to kind of move away from the animation and get more to what do you do here on G+, the stuff that you're known for.
Some animation in my Trey videos, actually.
Yeah, large, girthy penises. How often did people tell him not to only draw cartoons / comics? How long did it take to realize that diversity was a good thing?
Well, I'm a bad person to ask this because I always drew from life. So I'm not a big comic drawer. My daughter is, seriously, and I wish I had the freedom that she has to do stuff like that. But I've never had that knack. I've always said that I'm less creative than I am artistic, and that's kind of a weird thing, but she can create. I can represent very well. I can paint well, I can draw well, I can represent reality well, but in terms of my own like loosening up to try to bring about new ideas or creative concepts. I'm far worse at that. So.
Okay. That's a quick question. Who is Bert's favorite painter?
Oh gosh. Well, now this is going to sound like such a cop out, but I have a lot of people I follow on Instagram. There's a lot of plein air painting I really enjoy. There's a lot of plein air painters I really enjoy. If you want to see some great painting, go on Instagram and type in plein air, which is PLEIN, plein air. And and hashtag plein air, you'll find just amazing. It's kind of a movement these days, probably the last 10 years or whatever. And I've really enjoyed that. Who is my favorite painter?
Say Bob Ross.
Not Bob Ross. I will say, I don't know.
Or Mr. Rogers, either one.
I don't know, but I'll get back to you on that.
So the your interactions here have been varied, and what I mean by that is that you've been seen in mixed company with people who disagree with you, who stand on the side of disbelief or belief. More notably, of course, Trey being on the side of belief. Yet those interactions resemble some of my own with my quote unquote nemesis, but on a more higher tier, at least I consider it. Some of the interactions involve very specific topics. How did you get to those topics to discuss them with Trey, to almost have this niche both of you have kind of carved out in the community? Because you have to admit it is very unique, the interactions between you two.
Yeah, well, part of it was just interacting with Trey. If you watch my very first video with Trey, which I think might be on his channel, or it might be on mine, and then maybe the second one on his, I had two very raw hangouts with him. It took me a bit to get his point of view, and it's because he what I think it is that to Trey, when he spouts these terms, he's so pickled in it, in that Spruian concepts. Like, he's a big R.C. Sproul fan, and there's a R.C. Sproul's video series on apologetics that I'm certain Trey has watched those videos over and over and over and over and over again, and just really taking it in so that he knows verbatim what's being said, that he can just recite it. And I think that R.C. Sproul, when he's presenting it, uses shortcuts, but I think Trey, even more so, uses terms to denote broader concepts. And when he says, is it becoming? Or when he says, is it happening? Or any of these weird things that he asks you, he is denoting broader implications that he understands. And I think he's right in some of those implications, or that he's at least understanding it properly. But it goes right past anybody he's talking with, unless they invest themselves in picking up his language and picking up what it means by that. And I think part of that is going and studying up on what I did was I went and watched Parmenides and Heraclitus and the debate that they had over the persistence of things versus change, right? Like, so is it the same river? If you the same river twice, or is there persistence to existence? This concept of you have the universe that is persistent, but it's ever changing, right? You have these concepts of being and becoming kind of in conflict with each other, right? Like, I am the same man, but I'm not the same man, right? And moment to moment, I'm changing, but what does that mean to my identity? And what does that mean? And so I went and I spent some time brushing up on things that I could tell Trey was wanting to reference. As well, you can read the Summa by Thomas Aquinas, right? So he's a Thomist. So he has this view of divine simplicity, and I know other Thomists, so it helps to hear them talk about it. And then all of a sudden I'll hear Trey say something. I'm like, oh, I know what he's trying to say, or I know the concept he's trying to convey, or the reason that he's getting giddy is because he understands the implication, and I know what that implication is because I know the broader context that he's operating in. So I can kind of put on my Trey hat and see the world from his perspective, so that when the term is said, it means the same thing for me, right? And it doesn't end up being this. I'm happy to talk in those terms because I can understand what it is, what the implication is of what I'm saying, and I can cut him off from a path that he wants to go down because I know where he's going with it, because I'm aware of the terms. He kind of loses the advantage with me, essentially, versus these people that he drags in off of Facebook, where he challenges them purposely, tries to goad them into debating him. And then they get in the room with him and he goes right on the rails and runs right down this track of argumentation, and pretty much gets the same reaction for most of them. You know, a lot of people just are bamboozled, they're thrown off guard. Things he's saying, they can't, it's a little like a presuppositionalist where you hear them saying it, you're like, I can't right now tell you why that's wrong, but it's just, there's something about it that's wrong, you know, and he takes that as victory, right? He takes that as, you know, that he's been vindicated, when really all it is that they've not been able to process his worldview and are confused and thrown off guard by it, right? Because he's working in ways, he's thinking and talking in ways that people aren't used to dealing with. So.
Do you think it's almost a bit dishonest? Well, not, I guess dishonest would be the bad word.
Wait. NC Wyeth, but I'd say NC Wyeth is my favorite painter.
There we go, folks.
Very highly motivated by NC Wyeth. I love his work.
Would you say though it's a bit I guess uncharitable for him, knowing that not many people understand what he specifically means when he uses terms like happening or becoming or something of that nature? Because I feel it would be the equivalent of me mentioning angiogenesis or VEGF or some of the things that I can bring to in a biology discussion.
I think it's disingenuous because Trey's not really striving to be understood by these people. He's striving to own them, right? So when he gets them in, it's not out of desire to hear what they have to say and then offer them, try to persuade them of this alternative view. He basically is just bringing them in so he can browbeat them, right? So he can humiliate them.
So he's playing to the audience. He's not even playing to the person.
For sure. And he'll then say that somebody was demolished by him and that he humiliated them and that they're scared of him. There are people. He is. That's why people are astonished at how long I've interacted with him and how I still manage to talk to him. Is that he's done enough shitty things to people that a lot of the people that Trey would like to talk to won't have a conversation with him, and he'll goad them and taunt them and say it's because they're scared, but it's more because he's ended up acting in such a way that they eventually block him or whatever because they have better people to worry about or better things to do with their time. So they're not really interested in Trey. And the people that will give him the time of day, well, you know, I think Fox and the No pwned him pretty bad. I think that I've pwned him pretty bad. I don't think he's answered, you know, I've got videos where part of the reason why I like writing is Trey likes to talk really fast, but when I can keep him on the rails a bit more with and commit him to his words a bit more in writing. And that's one of the reasons my debate with him went really well is I actually prepared slides for that and could step through the things that he's saying and had slides prepared where he would then want to invoke something. I say, well, funny you say that. I got that slide right here. And I snapped that slide. So I noticed you've said this. Okay, let's talk about that, right? And that the reason why that debate went really well is because it all of a sudden made him have to pay for his words, right? And the problem is Trey, it's a trick shell game. He's making commitments and whatnot, but then he's, you know, when he's challenged on them, he wants to move.
He'll abandon them instantly.
Yeah, and I don't know that he's always intentionally doing that. I think it's more that he's trying to win the argument. He's not really concerned with being understood. right? Now there are other times. There's a conversation that I had on God's thoughts with Trey. That's on my channel, and that was when he was in an interaction with a bunch of the Pal Talkers, and I jumped into that. And then Trey and I had a conversation about whether God has thoughts. That God's. I wanted to know what God's timeless thoughts entail. Right? If God's a timeless being, He's outside of time and He's not tensed. What does it mean that He has a thought? And Trey and I went down this whole. I think that's actually a pretty interesting video to watch. I enjoyed the kind of the back and forth with him in that, and he was fine in that. He's always fine when we get together in a hangout. Trey and I don't have any problem chatting with each other. I think we can be pretty charitable, and I try not to make fun of him in an uncharitable way in my videos. Trey's always been a good sport, and that he'll find it funny. My video on determinism and free will, I think it's got a picture with Trey as Pinocchio singing "No Strings on Me," right? and that's Trey's that's kind of how I take Trey's position, as he says, God determines all things, but I've got free will, right? Like that's Trey's. That's
I never understood that because I've seen discussions on G Plus
So-
threads, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
So are you able to? So there's a great bit in there. There's a great convention that I employed. If I give you the link, are you able to play?
Yeah, we can actually. You can screen share in here, believe it or not.
There's the.
No, the screen share is going to throw off. No, you can screen share. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it
there's-
just shows it
there's-
on his screen.
There's some animation, mainly because I want to. I put so much work into this thing. I really want people to go. Where's my video? Where's my video?
He has to search through the non-girthy penis folder.
Where's my God? My channel, here it is. And so I actually put some. There's Trey Jadlow, free will determinism incompatibilism. Here, so. Where's a good? Let me see. Where's the funniest bit?
Yeah, for those of you who are wondering, there is a link to Bert Poole's channel in the description. It's right underneath the. Actually, yeah, it's right there. You should be able to see it.
It says Bert
There's-
Poole
I'll put that in
subscribe.
there, and then here I'm going to share it in the internal chat. So this is
Yeah.
where I was really happy with this bit of animation cleverness that I did. That I was able to jam this out pretty quickly.
Is that timestamp good?
Yeah, that timestamp's good. And then I also got to work in what's her name? Kate Upton is in this, which is always a win for a video, especially if you can have Trey talking to Kate Upton.
I'm just.
Wait, where's the part where he's talking with not Freddie Mercury, Tim Curry, and
Oh, your screen share. I'm wondering. What?
wait, what happened?
I'm
You
screen.
go and play it, Trey?
Oh, hold on. I got to set the screen up.
Oh, actually, no. Someone else share. Someone's at the door.
They can just watch it on their own. I don't want to hold up the whole hangout here.
No. It's okay.
I figured you guys played your videos.
No, I can play it. That's what I was telling you guys. You guys are screen sharing on me. I'm like, what screen share? Just give me the link. I have it all queued up right now.
This is one of my this video I put a bit more work into, and it's more about Trey's just the vehicle. And most of my videos about Trey, he's really just a vehicle for me to talk about some other topic. So in this, I get to talk about compatibilism, determinism, and free will. A topic that I really care a lot about. I think it's a great topic to discuss, and I was able to then mention that to Trey. Where's the damn part with Tim Curry? Because that's the part he starts talking to the dudes from Pulp Fiction and whatnot.
Well, I was gonna play it from the point you gave. So you want to change it?
No. I think that's a good part too.
All right.
He also talks to Kim Kardashian in there too, and that's pretty funny too.
So I'm gonna. How many minutes? It's about 9 minutes. Should I play? Do you want me to play 5 minutes of this or?
No, just play for a couple. Just play for like 20 seconds or 30 seconds or something.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
This is because the reason I did this was because Camille Gregor, whom he was talking to, had no didn't use a camera, and so I didn't want to have long periods of my video just to have this like it was just Camille's avatar on there. So I gave Camille an avatar to talk to Trey with.
Well, here it is, Trey Judlow's sheep pen.
Would be responsible for the whole chain of events playing out like dominoes in the pen. The consequence of Trey's theology is full determinism. But as you can imagine, Trey has no problem contradicting himself on this point.
Well, we are determined by our nature, but within that nature there is some liberty somewhat.
From prior causes of our choices?
To say that we are determined in some sense, but not completely determined. We have some free will.
Okay.
You are affected by people. So you make choices that are results of what other people do to you, right?
Sure.
Okay, but then you also can make a choice and say, well, I want chocolate pudding instead of vanilla pudding or something like that, right?
Worldview is correct, or what follows logically from your argument is that if a sheep kills another sheep, it would be responsible because the act of killing would be a cause, would be a result or an effect of a series of causes that are ultimately outside the sheep's control, right?
Well, the sheep has volition, right?
Well, not in your argument.
Yes, it does. In my argument, he does have volition. He's not a robot.
Well, it exactly be like people, both people and animals. If your argument is valid or sound, rather, would be robots. We would be our behavior would be just a final effect of a series of causes that we have no control over, right?
No, that's not what I said.
Well, that I know. That's just what follows from your argument.
No, it doesn't follow from my argument.
Because, the choices that we make are contingent, right? So they are effects of a series of causes, inescapably. So, what we will do in our lives, if your argument is sound, has already been determined, basically.
From the perspective of a deity, yes. But that's not something that we can understand, and we are living.
What? It has nothing to do with it. Like the fact that you can't understand it doesn't mean that you're not just acting out.
What Trey is expressing here is an alternative to compatibilism, a creature known as incompatibilism, which happily resides in Trey Jadlow's zoo of contradictory utterances. How does Trey want to rectify his incompatibilism?
So we were talking about free will.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your objection?
Okay, well, I'm saying if we're going to talk about free will, we've got to talk about two worlds. We've got to talk about the analogical world, and we got to talk about the proper world and the improper world. And the improper world necessarily must mean that necessary being is not learning anything or is not contingent upon anything. And the world in which we live cannot have pure actuality. So there's got to be analogical language, and there can be culpability, but it's not something that we can understand. From the perspective of a deity, we've got to use analogical language.
Our good friend, analogical language, always there to explain away God's contradictions. So Trey wants to say, we can't understand how it is we're responsible. And in this interaction with Camille Gregor, Camille rightly points out that our perspective is irrelevant. So why did I drag Trey's piss-poor theology into this? Because Trey's theology has a core doctrine which conflicts with the consequences of determinism, and these consequences prove problematic.
You get a taste.
It was funny because I wanted to hear your point. Now you get to the point. Now, watch the video later, guys. He's cut me off at a good point.
That's one of my more well-produced videos, and and you can tell what it's like to talk with Trey. That's what, when you get into analogical language, when he's talking about, when he's invoking these terms, you get used to what they mean to Trey. Like, I know exactly what he's talking about. I can actually make sense of Trey's arguments now and what it is he's trying to convey, even to the point where I feel like I can offer to him, no, Trey, what you really want to argue is this. Why are you arguing that? Right. And,
wow.
So at its heart, he's a Thomist. He's trying to make the case for, so the basic concept of a Thomist is they believe in a divinely simple being, that God has no properties. He is pure being, which means that when we, and I think this is actually one of the cooler concepts in theology, is that when we experience God's properties. It's not that God has parts and properties. It's that he is because of our sin or because of our distance to him, we are receiving an attenuated version of the full thing, essentially. So it would be like saying that white light doesn't have the property of being red, but if you split it with a prism, you get all of the colors out of it, right? And so we're experiencing God's colors, but God's not colored; He's white. You heard it here first. God is white. I'm sorry, Nate. I'm sorry, Drag.
And I know. This is why I don't believe in him.
I knew it.
It's more oppression. More oppression.
So I think that's an interesting concept in terms of divine simplicity. And I would, if I were a theist, I'd be tempted to argue something like that. I even think I might be a pre-sup if I were actually a theist, but there's a reason I'm not, because I'm not a theist. So.
Oh, I would definitely be a pre-sup. I think that's the best way. That's the best way to go. It's the best way to go. Just continue. Just only thing you have to do is continue to ask one question. How do you know?
I thought it was funny that G-Man in that video that Drag was watching, G-Man's like, yeah, I like to go with the empiricism and argue the empirical route or the evidentialist. I think he's an evidentialist. He likes to argue about evidentialism, and then he likes to bring on the precept. And you're like, dude, if you have the precept, you don't need the evidentialism, right? What, when you lose the argument for evidentialism, you revert to precept? Is that how it works?
Well, the problem is
that's a pretty shitty move, right?
So,
I'm gonna argue evidence up to the point that it fails, and then I'm gonna
presuppose it.
The issue, Bert, is that he doesn't understand the implications to individual arguments. He just looks at them as weapons on a weapon rack. That's why he says things like that.
Discharge when necessary. Boom. You asking me for evidence I don't have? Presuppose. Well, I don't know. G-Man is not an intellectual heavyweight. But, it's funny because I'm saying he should be able to win Red's Dumbfuck of the Year, every year. He should be. I know you guys put a rule in, but he could. But G-Man is top 3 every year. If he's not number 1, then he is definitely close to. I don't even know how you can even not vote for him to be in the top 3.
Yeah, just because the rules, man. He would win every single year.
Yeah.
I'm actually, what I'm finding is I'm ending up in a lot of conversations these days with people who are replying to my, so I have a video I made for Trey that everybody takes as a troll. It's totally not. It's a video that it's basically where I tease out the implications of Trey's worldview. So Trey wants to say that God is a necessary being, right? And he wants to trace all causation back to the first cause. And what my argument is that if when you say something's necessary, it means that it can't fail to be the case, or it can't be otherwise. It's necessarily so in all possible worlds. So from Trey's perspective, there's not there's different versions that God could be. It's that God would need to be the same in every possible world. Well, in my opinion, the implication of that is that if you're going to say that God's actions can't fail, and his actions are, and you want to say that God is rational, that God's actions are dictated by his reasons, and if God exhausts all reasons prior to his acting, if God basically constitutes all of reality before acting and can't be otherwise, it means his reasons can't be otherwise. And if they determine his actions, it means his actions can't be otherwise, which means that the results of his actions can't be otherwise, which means we are necessary as much as God is necessary.
He's compelled to do everything. You're right. Interesting.
Right. So we are logically necessary. If we didn't exist, God would fail to exist. Right. That's the implication. If Nate was not right now holding his microphone, chewing gum, God would fail to exist, and that's the logical implication of that argument.
Because
I think that's when I was a Christian, I thought that was fine. I was like, okay, it's fine. Yeah, God is God. He is the being that he is, and everything goes according to that being. That's exactly the way you want it. What would you want to be otherwise? You would want to have the perfect being carrying out the perfect plan, and that everything falls out of that. There's no big deal that we are a logical necessity, but it's so unpalatable to people that God doesn't have the choice, a legitimate choice to do otherwise. And so the way I laid it out as an argument was I said, I compared it to a Play-Doh machine. You know, those Play-Doh machines where you can squeeze out the shapes. And basically I said, if you have a long shape of Play-Doh and it's got a star pattern at the end of it, you can deduce that the nature of the Play-Doh cutter thing was a star, right? And if there's a circle at the end, you can deduce, and it's necessary that that if the Play-Doh machine if the Play-Doh was not in the star shape, it necessarily follows that the Play-Doh machine was not in a star shape, right? That it didn't have a star shape filter. It didn't have the nature that it had. It would fail to be that. If it was a circular shape, it couldn't be that the same Play-Doh machine that made the star shape also made the circular shape, right? I kind of lay it out in this dumb argument. But on that video, I get more comment traffic from Thomas than anybody on any of my other videos. It's still active today. Right, just while we were having this hangout, I was typing a response to somebody on that very point. And it's because I'm struggling to understand I want to know if God exhausts all reasons, and you're going to say God only acts by virtue of reasons, where does otherwise come into it? It would have to mean that some reason was contingent. And so that reason could be otherwise. But if you're telling me God exhausts all reasons, and God necessarily can't be otherwise, then it means that the consequence of that can't be otherwise either. And they want to say, well, no, that doesn't make sense. This one person that I'm interacting with said, God has infinite reasons, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? He's got every reason. He's got every possible reason to act at all times. Like, what is that God is infinite reasons? What does that even mean? Like, what are you saying? That there's, he's also my reasons? And, I just picked up this cup. Is that a reason that God is too? Or like, what is an infinite reason? Or they want to say also that, that God can just act that way. That like, he has freedom of the will as one of his properties. And my point is that begs the question. The question is, does he have freedom of the will, right? So you can't just stipulate that he has it. You have to demonstrate to me the reason by which he would act otherwise. Or you can say, well, God doesn't always act according to reasons. God acts arbitrarily. And that'd be fine. If God acts arbitrarily, then yeah, there could be otherwises. It could be that there's no reason informing it, and it's just happening for no reason, right? But they don't want to say that God's irrational, right? They want to say God acts with purpose, with intention. So,
well, listen, I want to say thank you for stopping by. This was like amazing. I've learned a lot. I've learned more than I think I'll ever. I think you've forgotten more than I'll ever know about animation and that type of stuff. So, no, this is fantastic. I've learned so much new stuff, and it's and the questions were good too. Like, damn, we got some artists in the chat there because they were asking some damn good questions. So, but I definitely want to thank you for coming on. Drag, you have anything you want to say real quick? Oh, Bert, do me two favors. Number one, tell the people what you do here on YouTube, and then tell them where they can find you. The link to Bert's channel is definitely in the description of this video. It literally says Bert Poole subscribe, and click that link and you're good. But tell the people about yourself before we get out of here.
So, let's see. Well, so I am an atheist in the community, but I used to be a passionate theist. So I think what you'll find, I used to host a show called Welcome to My Bubble, where I would have both atheists and theists on. I have one with Theoretical Bullshit on there. I have one with Noah Adam, who is a big Christian in the community, in the YouTube community with thousands of subs, and became an atheist, and he and I chat about that. Welcome to My Bubble was a series. I don't think I'm going to resurrect it, but it went on for about a year, and I would probably like 22 episodes or something, and I would talk to people in the community about how they came about their beliefs and or their lack of, and then I also engage with Trey and with and Matt Slick. I create Matt Slick videos, but I also am passionate about philosophy, so you'll find that I hosted some talks about like Quine and about Kripke and about Frege, and talking about different philosophy of language things. I'm a big John Searle fan. I subscribe to Speech Act theory. I like J.L. Austin. So you'll find some philosophy stuff on there. You'll find a mix of things. One of my more popular videos is on reliabilism, and as a theory of knowledge. So you'll find a mix of things on Bert Poole if you just look for Bert Poole on YouTube. I don't think there's a lot of Bert Pools out there, so you should be able to find my channel. I write a lot as well. I think people enjoy reading them. I engage in long threads on Google Plus. Lately, I've been in the Facebook group Unbelievable, chatting up in there and getting involved in arguments on there. Maybe I'll join the Great Debate community or whatever and get involved in there.
Oh man, hey, listen, if you want to talk about the definition of atheism, it's like the never-ending battle, you know. But we always have that. We always have our what's it called? Our uneasy truths for like a year, and the next thing you know, it goes back to hell because somebody will make a video talking about the definition again. So
I'm starting to get because of my job in Toronto, and we still have our house in LA, and my wife doesn't like cold weather. I'm finding myself with plenty of time in the winters here, so I'm doing more hangouts and getting involved in chats. It's easier on East Coast time than on West Coast time too, just for the time when the hangouts are. I'm actually home from work some nights when somebody's getting into a hangout instead of still being at work and getting frustrated that I can't join in.
Oh yeah, Toronto's EST, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. So you got because usually with me it's like about 9-10 o'clock is when people usually hang out. I'm like, shit, it's so late for me, but.
I've been literally working on films, watching Talking Shit Tuesday, working on How to Train Your Dragon 2 or whatever. Sitting at my desk, typing in the side chat while I'm working on shots.
Well, listen, thank you, but again, thank you so much for coming by. We'll definitely got to come back in and shoot the shit with us. Sorry for poor Imp, as you know, Imp is doing big things, and he had to run on us. For Dragnot, for Bert, for Emperor Atheist, for myself, have a happy new year. Because, this is, 2019. I hope all your dreams come true, and we will see you next week. 3 Black Heathens and Bert Poole.